Well, good evening everybody. After making a video earlier on about the arrival of No Time to Die from HMV, I thought, is that all that's coming today? I was waiting on something else. However, tomorrow's another day. And then 2 hours later, the postman returns. I'm not sure it was the same postman, I don't take note of the plebs. But he delivered Doctor Who Season 17, the complete Blu-ray, and I take my hat off to him, just like Sir Tom Baker was doing there. So let's rip it open. There's not much to look at, but let's do that anyway. So we'll take the old cellophane off, and we'll get that in the recycling, just so we don't get any return visits from Greta Thunberg giving us that look, you know, that cheer up Greta, come on, just once a year put a video out of you dancing or something. So here's your lovely artwork as per, with the Lee binding. And if we take the slip cover off, we'll get the shot without the, yeah. Yeah, it's about better. This is nice. Very nice that they included a little Jacqueline Hill there, obviously Barbara from back from the William Hartnell era returns here, but your main ones obviously are of course Count Scarleone, you know, the last of the Jagathor, and where is he? Old Dave Ross there. They have gone back to this and finally put the voice vocoder thingamajiggy on David Gooderson, who only played Davros this one time. They put it on his voice so he actually sounds like Davros now, and not just like some rada guy dressed in some pretty dodgy makeup that was made for somebody else 4 years earlier. So Davros has never looked better and sounded better than in this story than here, which pretty much is par for the course with the Blu-ray. So let's have a look. If we open it up, it's your usual. I mean, look at that. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Lovely job in this. Good old Graham Crowden there. My dreams of conquest, you meddlesome hussy. A brilliant actor. I don't care what anybody says about his performance here. And then when you open up your Tardis doors, you get a bit more action here, but don't really need to show you that because it's also on the front of the booklet. So we can see there's some of Velen's Daleks, the first appearance of Romana 2, so we're obviously in Destiny of the Daleks territory. And on the reverse we have 2 publicity for, well, 3, one for Lala, one for Tom, and one for, well, K9, but John Leeson I guess. And as always, look at this booklet. It is 36 pages. Well, let's flick through a few. So we always get, you know, the story history. We get brand new artwork. I really don't know why people go for the other sets. I don't know. I mean, the American one doesn't have any booklets whatsoever, and it doesn't even have a a special features list, so you don't know what's on what disc. I mean, you know, fair enough if you don't get a booklet, but to not even know what disc to put in to get the special features. That's ridiculous. I mean, you need this, because not every special feature relates directly to the story. Right, okay, come on. Look at that. I mean, yeah, that's an image we've seen used in a million different ways, isn't it? But come on, that is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Julian Glover there. Poor Julian. He did have some gruesome demises back in the day, didn't he? Not long after that, 10 years after this, I suppose. It was Walter Donovan in The Last Crusade, and we saw him age to death. What's in there? Creature from the Pit. Okay. But again, even that, nice artwork, lovely. Very Chris Akilos, who unfortunately died recently, didn't he? There again, lovely stuff. I mean, these are once the set's complete, if you compiled just these booklets, you'll have just one heck of a resource of Doctor Who history. Look at that. Lord Nymon. Yeah. As I've always said about that story, people criticise Graham Crowden, but Tom Baker does not give a crap in that story. He is so on autopilot, it's not real. Lalla Ward is left to do all the heroic stuff. So Graham Crowden has to do all the interesting stuff, the having fun stuff, because Lalla Ward, whether you like Romana or not exactly much fun character. Right up to the Gallifrey series for Big Finish. She's a little bit stern, should we say. And of course we have Shada in this season, which puts an end to that debate. Is Shada part of this season? Yes, definitively it is now. Christopher Neame looking rather 70s there. Yeah. So as usual, Pete McTighe does the booklet notes. He also does those wonderful trailers that we get. Peter Crocker is your head of picture restoration. Mark Ayres, as always, the genius behind the sound restoration, who's also, I believe, responsible for Davros finally having the corrected voice. Richard Bignell, written archive curator. I mean, what has Richard Bignell not uncovered at the BBC? I mean, the man's a genius. Ed Stradling in charge of continuities. Toby Haydock and Matthew Sweet are on commentary moderation duty. Richard Molesworth on project management. Russell Minton, of course, produces the whole range. I mean, it's a who's who, really. Thanks to Marcus Hearn again, mostly known for Hammer, but a great historian of all things British cult. Names like Steve Roberts, Mike Tucker, Paul Venices. It's a who's who of the Doctor Who world of the past 40 years of fandom. And the booklet, which I don't think they all do, but the booklet does fold out into a larger picture, even taking into account those publicity stills. That's quite nice. It would be nice to actually have it without them, wouldn't it? I know they do include those in all of them, but it would be nice to have a naked one. And then there's a little leaflet at the back here, which I'd imagine will just be some more exciting products. Let's see what they're advertising at the moment. The TV episodes collection, because if you didn't buy them 10 years ago, buy them now. Time Fracture. Oh yes, the key rings and things that I see on the merchandise page, complete with the pink TARDIS from the Happiness Patrol, Ace's logo, K9's little dog collar. That's quite nice. I like that actually. The escape hunt. So that the big chief figures. Yeah, large scale figurine of the fourth. Again, that stance. Jodie Whittaker on the edge of reality. She probably wonders if she has been living the stuff she's had to put up with in the past few years. Big Finish, get an advert in it for a change. That's nice. With some Tom and Lal action. Some B&M figures, the 5 Doctors set with the Raston Warrior robot, the Planet of the Daleks, and the First Doctor and TARDIS from An Unearthly Child. This is actually one of the nicer brochures they've put out. Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder, where science meets fiction, and Doctor Who magazine. And then Titan Comics advert at the back. So some Time Lord Victorious. God, that went nowhere fast, didn't it? Jeez Louise, that was a load of rubbish. You know, if you're going to make it so that things don't connect, so that they're user friendly, don't make them connect. What's the point in having the continuity if you ain't going to use it? Don't cross media if you're not going to have the story really cross media in a big way, because it was just a yeah, I mean, I read the comics, heard the audios and read the novels, and apart from, you know, a few characters crossing over, it just felt like a big load of nothingness. However, there's your Missy comic, which has been fantastic. I haven't read this one where Rose, or the evil Rose, encounters your 8th and 11th Doctor, which is quite a novelty. However, back to your main feature here. So, as always, we get a unique view of the TARDIS inside the booklet holder, which in this case has some of Romana's alternate costuming when she's choosing a new look. And again, the UK gets, unlike the American version, why don't they include this? I don't get it. It's not as if it's going to cost a fortune. Unique disc artwork. So there's Destiny of the Daleks. It's a bit tight here. City of Death with Julian Glover looking rather sharp. That was back when he's in with Da Vinci, that kind of era, wasn't it? Creature from the Pit. I think the American one just comes with the TARDIS on everyone. I keep saying American, excuse me, I should say Region A, because I know the Canadians get it as well. Nightmare of Eden. I always thought it was a slightly underrated story. I'm not going to go to bat and say it's a classic, but I always thought it was a bit better than, you know, the Doctor Who polls always have it very near the bottom. I never thought it deserved that. Horns of Naimon, which we've discussed at length already. Oh, there's a loose disc coming, I'll tell you that much. Shada with Professor Chronitis. And I'll watch out for this loose disc here, I think. The one that nearly got away, however, quite handy, because it does allow me to therefore show you the back of the box, which as always has the brown-haired Harpo mark, and the disc, Shada and bonus material, disc 7. And I haven't shown you the back of the box, have I? So we'll place this back. Our catalogue, our booklet, and the rather satisfying Velcro clasp, which is always fun to. Yeah, and then the back of the box. That's lovely, isn't it? That's gorgeous. It really is nice. So that is the set itself, and I'm sure you can look up special features yourself just to give you an overview. So all 26 episodes newly restored for Blu-ray. Shada is now considered the definitive presentation in 6 episodes. The previous edition of Shada that came out, including the steelbook version, only had it as an omnibus. So this is the first time the animated Shada is appearing in 6 parts, which, hey, good to have yet another version of Shada for a story that was never completed. We seem to have more versions of Shada than anything else. What's not included here is the Paul McGann webisode Shada, the Flash animation one, which gives a lot of credence to the idea that we're going to have whatever you want to call it, a Wilderness Years box set or something of that sort, because it was included in the steelbook of Shada. So there's no rights issues. The BBC made it themselves. It's not as if it's a third party they're dealing with. So yeah, we can look forward to that in the future. So it also includes the 1992 VHS version of Shada with Tom doing the Lincoln narration, which wonderfully we can now say is perhaps the curator of the Undergallery, and the 2017 version, so it does have the omnibus as well. Behind the sofa, as always, which at first I didn't think I would enjoy those when I announced them, because I don't like that show Gogglebox. But Behind the Sofa has become my go-to favourite. It's so much fun to see doctors and actors from other eras reacting to other eras, you know, and sometimes being a bit rude, sometimes being in awe. I think my favourite was seeing Sacha Dhawan reacting for season 8 to Roger Delgado's Master, who he'd only really heard about but hadn't seen, and discussed with Mark Gatiss when making Dracula. Mark Gatiss had spoke to him and said, this is the kind of look we're thinking of going for, and he sent him a picture of Roger Delgado, and Sacha didn't know if Mark knew that at that point he'd been cast as the Master, which was supposed to be a top secret. It was just a coincidence, of course, but yeah. Making of documentaries, so it's got a brand new one for Destiny of the Daleks. Douglas Adams tribute, so friends and colleagues celebrate the life and career of the great man himself. Obviously, Lalla Ward was a great friend of Douglas Adams, with her ex-husband Richard Dawkins, terrific friends till the end. So that'll be a poignant watch, no doubt. And Tom was a great admirer of Douglas Adams as well. I don't think there's many people who weren't an admirer of Douglas Adams. He may not have been, a terribly BBC type, which is why his tenure was probably quite short as the showrunner, but my goodness, to have a season of Doctor Who show ran by Douglas Adams is quite something. And then when he gets to let loose as he does on City of Death, which is considered one of the greatest Doctor Who stories of all time, rightly so, then wow, what a treat. Lalla Ward interview, which I think was one of the things they recorded with her before she emigrated to I want to say Hong Kong, Singapore. She moved to Asia anyway. New audio commentaries on selected episodes with Tom, Lalla Ward and Catherine Schell. So think some of those are on City of Death. In Conversation with Matthew Sweet, which is always a treat. He chats to Bob Baker, who passed away recently, didn't he? Which again makes this all the more poignant. And you don't want to be morbid, but one of the reasons these sets are so special, and the DVD range was so special, it captured a lot of people that we just wouldn't be able to capture anymore, given their thoughts on these stories. And it makes it the last word in archiving Doctor Who, really. Because, you know, these guys are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, when the average life expectancy is about, what, 77, you know, it's the age most of the classic Doctors are. Tom Baker's 10 years older than that. You don't want to think that way, but pragmatism. Updated special effects on Nightmare of Eden, which again I think should be reappraised. It's about time it was, because it's got some fun stuff in it, and Tom's hilarious in that one. You know, that whole bit about how to read Tibetan, you know, the book, fantastic. Tom Talks. Tom Baker gives us his unique take on life, the universe, and everything. Well, if that's not worth 40 odd quid on its own, I don't know what is. Blu-ray trailer, which featured David Gooderson back as Davros, and so wonderful was David Gooderson as Davros in that trailer that somehow it seemed as though they had an impersonator for Michael Wisher, because it certainly wasn't Terry Malloy, but it didn't sound anything like the Davros from Destiny until now. So we've got essentially a revised and better Davros than ever before, which I'm quite excited to see. I mean, Destiny is far from my favourite Dalek story, but just giving us a better Davros, I think will bring that story on leaps and bounds, hopefully. Exclusive archive treats, a treasure trove of previously unavailable content from the BBC archives. Could be anything. Those BBC archives, I don't want to know what happened in some of them. Studio footage, unseen footage from the original studio tapes. As was seen on some of the Blu-rays, they wouldn't have been possible to include on DVD just because they were so long, but just to see the actual set for, you know, a few hours and just see what goes on, it's fascinating sometimes, you know, to see the actors just hanging about and gabbing, you know, the director giving, you know, a little bit of advice to some extras, and you know, it's just a lovely insight, and it's not for everybody, but hey. Immersive 5.1 sound on Destiny of the Daleks and Shada. If you do not have 5.1 sound, by God, get yourself some 5.1 speakers, because Doctor Who, not just the classic series, but especially the modern show, is made for 5.1. If you're one of the people that says, "Oh, I can never hear the talking over the music," it's made for 5.1. It's not a mono show anymore. So, yeah. Once you have it in 5.1, it's quite a different audio experience. There's nothing quite like hearing a Dalek fire over here and then hearing the shot land over there. It's quite wonderful. Audio archive, including the 1979 LP Genesis of the Daleks, what was that on? That was on something else. Was it Doctor Who at the BBC, one of those big fat CD compilations, one of them? I feel like there was that, and there was Time Slip, and there was something else. Yeah, maybe the John Pertwee things. Maybe it was a bootleg, we better not talk that way. And then PDF written archive, scripts and rare archival material. Now again, you need a Blu-ray writer or reader to take advantage of that, because you'll need to pop it into your Blu-ray drive. But again, it's so worth it. Every season has got thousands of pages. It's got scripts, it's got call sheets, it's got budgets, it's got letters to and from the producers and writers saying, who should we cast for this? He's not available, how much is this going to cost? I don't think you should include Davros here, put him there. Can we have Cybermen for this? No, we're using them next year, blah 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 blah. And it's a fascinating look at how the BBC worked, where everything was memos and documents between guys and girls trying to be creative, and suits. So yeah, and then on top of that, you know, you get this one little bit here that doesn't look like anything. But it says each disc also features extensive special features previously released on DVD, including documentaries, featurettes, audio commentaries, infotext, the 1992 and 2017 releases of Shada, and much, much more. I said what's his name? John Leeson for K9. I should have said David Brierley, because this is the season where David Brierley plays K9, isn't it? So, sorry, David. John, you've had enough work as K9. You're still going about on all fours. No credit for you on this, buddy. Yeah, those DVD features that are carried over, you know, it's not just the odd featurette, it is hours and hours per story. Full commentaries, full documentaries and making of, set visits going back, you know, 30, 40 years later to the locations, interviews again with people who've since left us, or who no longer wish to talk about their time in the show. The infotext is always fascinating as well. It's, you know, in lieu of subtitles, you can have the infotext which pops up. It's like if you ever saw those VH1 videos where it would pop up and say, you know, this woman here married David Coverdale. Nobody in Doctor Who married David Coverdale. Patrick Troughton might have. But yeah, so anyway, that's an overview then of season 17, the collection. So hopefully I'll be digging into this. It's also certified carbon neutral. So again, Greta, don't worry, we're on it. We are on it like a bonnet. DTS, HD audio, Dolby Digital. It's not exactly fancy in 2021, but still. Yeah, this is, wow, definitive, and as definitive as it comes. In terms of the stories themselves, again, City of Death is by far the highlight here, I'd say. It's just definitively one of the greatest Doctor Who stories ever, just ridiculously fun, terrific Dudley Simpson score, Julian Glover as your baddie, wonderful. Creature from the Pit, again, I've gone over how underrated I think it is. Nightmare of Eden, sorry, not Creature from the Pit. Creature from the Pit is rated exactly as it should be, bottom. Nightmare of Eden is underrated. Horns of Nymon, I don't think it's terribly underrated, but I think that Graham Crowden is underrated, because you always hear people say, oh, he was in the running for the fourth Doctor, the show would have been cancelled if he was the fourth. Yeah, shut up. Go watch A Very Peculiar Practice and tell me that Graham Crowden couldn't have been a great fourth Doctor. He was playing a part. He wasn't going to play the Doctor like that, for goodness sake. And then Shada, to finally have Shada take its place in a season. Here it is. No, oh, is it part of this? Is it part of season 18? Is it, you know, GNT was going to try and put it as part of, you know, an in-between thing, or should it be with the 20th anniversary special? None of that stuff. Here it is, where it belongs, where it was intended to be, and where it shall stay. Definitively. So this is rated 12. Let's see. I'm sorry, all you 11-year-olds, you can't watch this. It's full of drugs, sex, rock and roll, and jelly babies, as any good Doctor Who episode should be. So you'll need to make do by watching Jodie Whittaker. Not my fault, it's the BBFC that rated it that. So another wonderful set by the looks of it. I'm going to dig in tonight. I'm going to get my teeth right into this, and hopefully next up we should be due a Pertwee or a Davidson. My money's on, well, we know stuff's been done for season 20, but then the kibosh got put in that when COVID, you know, with obviously Turlo, old Mark, being stuck over there on the other side of the world. I'm glad they postponed things though, rather than phoning it in by Zoom. Some companies have done special features via Zoom. It's not the same. It's just not the same. I know needs must, but they did the right thing by rearranging the schedule. All involved should be, and I know they are very proud of themselves. So until next time, I've been David. This has been Doctor Who season 17, and there'll no doubt be some more tack coming your way very soon. But if you have any questions, queries, comments, criticisms, perhaps about the beanie, I don't even know where I got this. I think I stole it from a homeless man one night. Then drop them below. If not, I don't care. Thanks for watching though. I hope this has given you something of an overview. And take care of yourselves. It's going to be a funny old winter. Have yourself a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year, or happy holidays if you don't celebrate it. Just celebrate having some time off if you've got time off. I'm not religious, but I've got time off, so that's the main thing. I'll worship any god that gets me time off. Anyway, dinner time. I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye.